It sounds bad, but the Oceanic teams literally have no excuses anymore. We've had some great domestic finals. I mean, we have some of the fiercest rivalries. But that last hurdle of going overseas and winning never really has come through.
The C representatives have just manhandled the Chiefs in this last game. They came out swinging in the first series with a 26-minute victory.
Our esports players have been up against it. They're going up against professional players that do this full time. Our players, a lot of the time they're at home in their bedroom. I mean, they're playing part-time. They have university, they have work. These guys really haven't been given the freedom, haven't been given that luxury of being able to dedicate everything to League of Legends and really become that full-time professional player. This year for Oceania, it's finally an equal playing field. It's finally a fair shot. I mean, when you have a look at it, they're in gaming houses now. They've got that infrastructure behind them. They've got coaching staff. They're going to be coming into the Riot Studio on Saturday, Sunday to play those live LAN games that are so hard to emulate when you go internationally. This is really the year that everything's coming together, and the professional esports players in Oceania should be able to take that next step. This definitely isn't going to be easy, but this is the first year that Oceania can compete internationally. This is the first year that they can qualify for the World Championship.
Hello and welcome to this new year of Oceanic Pro League. This is day one, round one, split one. It is a brand new season of League of Legends. It is a brand new patch. We've had roster swaps, competitive rulings, and massive, massive changes over the break. So there's a lot to cover. And we also have two big ol' heart matches for you today. So settle in and get comfortable because this is where you are for the next couple of hours. My name is Michael Hingersing, and it's a pleasure to have your company. I'm joined here at the desk by a new face to some of you. Yes, we're going to start at the right there. It is, you might know him as an OCS caster. You might know him as an Udyr one trick. It is Nathan Mendrix Mendes. How you doing, Nathan? You well?
I'm doing great. I'm doing well, and I'm so excited to be here today. I can't wait to see what these teams are prepared for us.
Yes.
And I can't wait to see what all the changes to discuss that we have to talk about today. We've got so much both inside and outside the Rift. It's going to be great.
Yes, and rounding out this band of brothers, obviously, we have captain of last year's OPL Minor Premiers and jungler for Legacy, Tim Carbon Wendell. Thank you so much for joining us. We appreciate your time. Now, the last time I saw you, we were in Barcelona for All-Stars. And what have you been doing the last couple of months since then?
Pretty much just planning for this year. A lot of work to get done. Obviously around the gaming houses, we're playing in LAN, everyone's living in Sydney, so it's a really big year for the OPL this year. So yeah, pretty much just every spare minute planning for 2017.
All right, well, let's get into the schedule, shall we, as we bring it up on the screen. Today, we're going to be kicking things off with a replay of a semi-final from last year. It's a bolstered Direwolves squad taking on the Chiefs. Direwolves obviously fresh from a Korean boot camp. Chiefs who've spent a lot of the off-season competing overseas and had a few struggles over there. After that, we'll be seeing the debut of the newly promoted Exile 5 team take on Tainted Minds, a side who've seen some North American imports and some bolstering there. Then tomorrow, we see Abyss take on Sin Gaming. And finally, tomorrow night, we're going to be taking Tim's boys, Legacy, take on AV. Now, gentlemen, let's get to these big changes that have happened over the summer break. Let me start with you, Mendrix. We're gone from a 6-band system to a 10-band system. Is the sheer amount of bands we're seeing now going to see a bigger diversity in champions? That's the goal of it, presumably.
Absolutely, and you already see it happening as well in internationally when it comes to the LCK, the LPL. All those sort of picks have actually diversified quite a fair bit, and a lot of these players have to pick up these more pocket-type champions in order to compete. So it's a lot of differences coming through, especially the fact that it's sort of changed things up around. There's two major ways you can go about it. One of them is to sort of pinch rolls. The other way is to sort of try to hide everything you're trying to do and surprise them at the end.
Yeah, and Carbon, obviously the picks and bans are done in several phases now. You ban, then you pick, then you ban, then you pick. This means that you're not going to be able to get that perfect comp that you're going for, right?
No, I think one of the really cool things about the 10-band system is, as the opposing team, if you see three very obvious picks going towards, say, poke composition, you can use your last two bands to single out those last remaining poke champs and make them change their comp to something that's a little easier to deal with.
Yeah. I also want to also go quickly, very, very quickly, ask you guys about some Dark Horse champions. If we're going to be seeing any new picks we haven't seen before in the next couple of weeks.
Well, we've seen internationally so far a number of, I think, pretty unusual picks that no one really would have expected. We saw Claired and Nocturne, both in Europe. We've seen Singed in the LCK, I think. And I think with the introduction of the 10-man system, you're going to see that more and more and more. You know, over the last couple of seasons, it was kind of like if you had a champ pool of around 4 or 5 strong meta champs, you're probably going to get one of those every game. Whereas now you might see, you know, the full 10 bands might go to mid lane, and you might be playing. You might be playing Xerath. Who knows?
All right. Well, let's take a look at today's first match. It's going to be Direwolves versus Chiefs. Now we look at the boys there. Well, that's not the right graphic, obviously, but that's fine. It's fine. It's fine. It's day one. Mistakes are going to be made. I'm sorry about that if you're viewing at home. I'd like to apologize to the teams as well for showing the wrong graphic, but we know who these guys are, right? We don't need to see their pictures because we know them. They're two of the biggest teams in the OPL. Last year's winners of the entire split versus semi-final Direwolves. Now, let's get a bit of context for this because I spoke to the captain of the Direwolves, Fantix, earlier today. Let's see what he had to say. Let me start by asking you about the Korean boot camp you guys just got back from. What did you feel were the main positives and takeaways from that experience?
The biggest positive out of it is that we were humbled by it, and we were shown that the skill ceiling is very, very high. And so basically, it showed us that we had a long way to go, and now we It didn't immediately make us the best players, but it allowed us to learn how to become the best players.
And in terms of today's match, do you feel like that skill's going to, or that outlook is going to transfer across? Are you feeling confident about today's match?
Yeah, yeah, for sure. But we're not really going to think about who our opponent are because we see them as all the same. It doesn't matter who our opponent are as long as we overcome our own obstacles, which is ourselves. We'll be fine.
Wow, that is very zen. Thank you so much for spending time with us, and best of luck with today's match.
Thank you so much.
Is that interesting for you guys to hear? He views all the opponents as the same, right? Surely there are individual differences to specific teams.
Yeah, I mean, it's an interesting perspective. I suppose if you kind of look at the game like, this is the best way to play the game, and as long as we play the best we can play, we'll be better. But I think it's pretty naive to assume that every team is the same. I mean, if one guy plays only Singed and you don't ban Singed because you just need to play well, I think that's a pretty big mistake.
I mean, Mendrix, do you feel like the Direwolves, like Fantix said, their biggest opponent is themselves? Do you believe that?
Well, to a degree, yeah, because at the end of the day, if you can't really beat yourself and know how to get to that same level as everyone else is playing at, that's something that is going to hold you back. And the big thing is, like he said, they've learned how to reach to that next level or that next skill ceiling. They know how to get there now. So they've gained some guidance from this boot camp. And I completely agree with what Carbon says. They need to actually make sure that they learn to beat their opponents and also make sure they can have some confidence in themselves.
All right, well, let us take a look now at the Direwolves lineup. We're going to see these boys getting ready because obviously all the games are going to be played right here in studio this year. So let's take a look down their roster, shall we? In Direwolves, we have Chippies in the top lane there, and their jungler, Sybil. Interestingly, they've got 2 junglers now. They're going to be working Shenfire as well this year. Fantix there, Captain just spoke to him in the mid lane. Their new AD carry, former Legacy, former teammate of yours, Tim.
He was.
That is King. And finally, their support, Destiny, former AG player, I should say. AV?
Yep, that's the one.
Hey, look at those images. We got the right ones this time. Excellent stuff, everybody. Yeah, we so, let's talk about these guys fresh from a Korean boot camp. They weren't able to get a lot of Korean scrims with Korean teams over there, but they're working a lot on their own individual play, I think. Is that kind of what you've heard?
Yeah, I know they definitely did scrim some teams. I think there were a lot of teams over in Korea at the time for boot camps, so I think they played against maybe some NA teams, and I don't think they played against Koreans. But from what I've heard, it sounded like they definitely focused a lot on solo queue. In my experience, since they've come back, they've definitely seen like mechanically better players. I definitely feel like they've improved mechanically from the boot camp. But whether that'll translate into competitive, we'll have to see.
All right, well, across the rift, they'll be taking on the Chiefs, of course. Earlier today, I spoke to Swiffer about their upcoming games. Let's see what he had to say. Swiffer, let me start by asking, you guys have been traveling a lot in the off-season, maybe 4 or 5 different countries in about a month. Was that experience exhausting for you guys?
I think it really took its toll on me, especially after our crushing loss in Brazil. After that, having to pick yourself up again mentally and everything was actually quite difficult. And then having to go to Shanghai for the boot camp and put like your all in, and then Paris and qualifying for IEM, and then coming back to Australia for a week, and then leaving again for America, and then eventually Barcelona for All-Stars. It was really, really draining, especially like when kind of like halfway through our trip over in America, I got tonsillitis, and then that was really draining, and I thought that I could just kind of like power through it, but I really couldn't. I needed antibiotics and lots of medication. But like, apart from that, it was really good, and overall like a positive experience, definitely.
And you've had some time to prepare now, some time back in Australia.
Yeah.
Are you feeling confident ahead of the start of the split?
Yeah, feeling really rejuvenated after New Year's and everything. Got to spend it with family and friends, so I'm really happy about that. And then straight after New Year's, back up here preparing for our 5th consecutive title. So fighting words, but really, really looking forward to it, and lots of preparation.
What are you expecting from today's match then?
From today's match, so the Direwolves boot camped over in Korea, which I'm sure like everyone's kind of familiar with. And from what I heard, that they actually really mainly focused on kind of like their individual play, which I mean is really good, but I mean you can kind of do that almost anywhere. So I think that whilst on a micro level they might be really good, I think they've always kind of struggled on a macro team and a team-based level. So I think that maybe perhaps those tendencies will shine through.
All right, well, thank you for spending time with us, and best of luck today.
Thank you.
That is Swiffer, the captain of the Chiefs there, seeming very, very confident ahead of today's match. Now, why don't we take a look at their roster of the Chiefs as they're getting ready, plugging in the peripherals, etc. Look at them, looking pretty confident, I would say. Look at Smiley, singing, happy. Look at him. All right, let's go down their roster, shall we? In the top lane, we're seeing Swiper, Big Swips himself. Jungler, we're looking at Spooks, a man with some very defined cheekbones. Swift, we've already spoken to him. The captain and mid laner, AD carry, Raze, joined at the end of last year. And finally, EGM, happily bopping along there in support.
Why is Ray so upset? They're all singing except him. I feel like he's the only one not in on the joke.
Well, he's only just joined this team at the end of last year. He's still learning the ways of the Chiefs, obviously.
That's true.
Let's take a look at this team very, very quickly. Talk about how Raze is going up against his old team in the Direwolves, yeah?
Yeah. Raze left Direwolves at the very end of Split 2 last year, I think just before the semi-finals. He played the last game of the season with Chiefs and then went to Direwolves.
He's going to be going up against King, obviously your former teammate.
Yes, who's also gone back to the Direwolves, who had a really good year last year, I think, and I'm expecting big things from him this year. But yeah, I think this matchup will be one to watch. They both kind of consider themselves the premier 80 carries in the region, and I think it'll be really interesting to see who comes out on top.
Yeah, Mendrix, if this game isn't decided in the bot lane, where else are you looking? Because the meta is shifting away from the bot lane, right?
That's right. At the moment, ADCs aren't really the strongest roles out on the Rift. And I'd be looking more towards the jungles to sort of be the ones to dictate the pace of the game, make everything happen. A lot of the bans are sort of focused around the junglers at the moment. So you find that they take out the Kha'Zix, they'll get rid of the Rengar, especially the Rengar at the moment. Quite a priority pick.
All right, well, let us know your thoughts as well in terms of who you think is going to come out on top tonight, or today, I should say. Hashtag IamOPL on Twitter. In fact, if you're on social media and you want to get involved, we do have a social media competition. Which OPL team do you support? Go on Facebook or Twitter to tell us who and why. The top 5 most creative answers will win their team's summoner icon and a mystery prize skin, courtesy of Riot here. Now let's go straight back into this game though. Let's work out who you think is going to be taking this series. I want numbers and I want names from you guys. Let me start with you, Carbon. Who's going to be winning and in what factor? What way?
I think Chiefs going to win 2-1. I think Direwolves have definitely improved, but in a lot of ways they've also kind of gone backwards to the team that they used to be. I think Chiefs definitely feel like I feel like Chiefs have a better grasp of the macro right now. However, Direwolves are really strong laners, so I expect them to pick up at least one game purely through their laning. I mean, they can win, absolutely, but no, I think Chiefs macro will take them to a 2-1.
All right, Mendrix, do you agree 2-1 to the Chiefs? What are your thoughts?
Definitely an outcome. I'd definitely agree with that. However, I sort of want to look at it in terms of it being the idea of history. Since 2015, Chiefs have never beaten the Direwolves. Basically, that's a big thing.
In the regular split.
In the regular split. In the regular
Sure.
split. That's what I meant. That's what I meant to say there specifically. In the regular split. However, in the finals, that's when the Chiefs step up and they take the win there. So statistically speaking, Direwolves have the advantage on that. So I'll be going 2-1 to the Direwolves, but if the Chiefs take the first match, I feel like they're the ones who are going to come out in the end to win.
All right.
I will say, though, that all the games that the Direwolves win, they play from home, right? And when Direwolves lose is when they play on LAN. And unfortunately for them, or maybe fortunately for the Chiefs, every game is on LAN this year.
Yeah.
So we'll see whether or not Direwolves can perform on LAN, because that was always an issue for them.
All right. Well, I'm going to throw in my predictions as well. Let's say 2-0 to the Chiefs. I'll say it right now. It's a LAN. They're hardened veterans. Let's make it happen.
Biased hostcasters.
All right, that's enough from here at the us here at the desk. So why don't we get into game one by throwing to our casters? It's Spawn and Fish.
Thank you very much, Hingers. I'm Matthew Fish Stewart. Joining me to cast the first match here of the OPL in 2017 is going to be Jake Spawn Tabiri. Are you excited for this game, Jake?
Yeah, I was super pumped. And then Carvin just kind of stared daggers through me at the end of that analyst test segment. So, I'm still trying to recover. One thing I do want to point out, though, Fish, is we like people that commit. Mendrix, I know it's your first time on the desk, mate, but don't flip-flop on your vote. Just get 2-1 into the Direwolves. You'll be fine. However, this is such an important match coming up, Fish.
It certainly is, yeah. Mendrix, don't do what I did, because Jake gave me a lot of flack for that when I was on the desk last time around. But enough of that. We are into Champion Select for the first match of today. The Direwolves will be taking on the Chiefs.
And this is such an exciting game. So much history between these teams. We heard it, Direwolves being able to take those regular season games, Chiefs always beating them in the LAN performances. You've got Rays against his old team. You've got King versus Rays one more time. That rivalry is so fierce there, and we'll see which one of these teams really has prepared better off the offseason, because, one, boot camping in Korea, very solo. The other playing in a lot of tournaments, and, we'll see which one comes out ahead.
Definitely have to see, because both these teams, it is the semi-final rematch from last year. They've definitely prepared for the start of the OPL, both in gaming houses now, living in Sydney, coming in for LAN events every single week, and this is the first match for them here. We are into picks and bans, and it is the new pick ban phase, so there will be a total of 10 bans and 2 different banning phases, and we are underway for that first ban phase. On the side of the Direwolves, they've taken away LeBlanc from Swiffer, and Kha'Zix is going to be banned out, as well as Zyra towards Ejim, whereas on the side of the Chiefs, they've taken away Camille, as well as Rengar.
And one more time, Chiefs, they're on the red side. They just don't want to give away the ridiculous OP champions. Right now, Rengar's pick potential is so good, and Sybil's always been a great Rengar player. Camille is obnoxious in the top lane, even after she got tapped a little bit. And a little bit of a surprise here, taking away Elise, which has always been a Sybil pocket pick. However, on the other side of the rift, the LG Direwolves, they're just looking to hit specific champions. LeBlanc's really strong at the moment. Swiffer, historically an assassin player. Zyra, Kha'Zix, they're just generally strong champions right now.
This does leave Ryze up and available, and it will be instantly picked up here. Should be heading into the mid lane for Fantix.
And I love this for the Direwolves because, they've been talking about their individual game. They want to play things like 1-3-1. I expect a split-pushing top lane, Ryze to be locked in, go into the 1-3-1 as soon as you have that 1.5 item. And it's very hard to get Ryze out of a 1-3-1 because he's got a semi-global. And unless you pick something like Talia, he out-shoves, he out-duels, and then he can still make it to the team fight.
He's just one of the perfect mid laners for the perfect mid laner for the Direwolves of Fantix, where we also see Chiefs locking in their next 2 picks. Lee Sin is going to be picked up for Spooks heading into the jungle, and Jin has been locked in for Raze.
Yeah, and Jin has historically been Raze's best champion. I mean, this guy picked it up very early, likes the utility, also pumps out a lot of damage. However, internationally, Raze really didn't have that good of a showing for the Chiefs and has to be able to step up. He had ice cold blood running through his veins at the final against Legacy, was able to perform, but internationally, his bark was a little bit bigger than his bite, and he did fall on his face a little bit. So he's a young guy, 17 years old, interested to see how he picks himself back up and learns from that experience.
Well, hopefully now that he's back in Australia playing in the Oceanic Pro League here, he will be able to go back to his form that we saw him have last year when he started off on the Chiefs lineup, getting close to the semi-finals there, moving over from the Direwolves. Speaking of the Direwolves, they have locked in Rek'Sai for Sybil, and still waiting to see what their third and final pick of the first pick phase is going to be, and it's going to be Poppy.
And this is just the perfect comp. I mean, already they have 2 globals, semi-global and a global in the Ryze and the Rek'Sai. Now they've got a strong tank. Whatever they put behind this in terms of damage dealers, whether it's going to be something like, a Ziggs, or whether they go for a more traditional AD carry, I know they've been practicing both, means that they're going to have that good front-to-back comp. You've got Rek'Sai, you've got Poppy at the front, you've got Ryze in the middle, then you've got your AD carry and support behind, and you're able to draw up those battle lines and go toe-to-toe with the Chiefs, who will, at this stage of the game, maybe struggle with a little bit of scaling because Poppy, Rek'Sai, and Rise all head into the late game incredibly well, whereas Lee Sin historically falls off a little bit.
And we see the final pick from the first pick phase of the Chiefs is going to be that Maokai, not going to allow Direwolves to ban that one out during their second ban
And this
phase.
is really interesting because we're seeing the adaptation of the second ban phase come in, because when they go Poppy, if you don't take Maokai, all of a sudden they can ban away Maokai, they can ban away Singed or Nautilus, and you're stuck with a suboptimal take, maybe something like a Scion that we've seen floating around international play. So that's really nice adaptation out of the Chiefs. They are under a new coach at the moment. It's Coach Volt as opposed to Jish, who's over with the Immortals in North America. And I like to see that the new young coach really securing a good draft for his team.
You can already see the second ban phase. 2 bans coming out already. Direwolves yet to pick up the AD carry and support, so Malzahar is going to be banned out by Chiefs, not allowing Destiny to pick up that champion, whereas Chiefs still looking for a support and a mid laner, so they're going to get Cassiopeia banned towards them, and they ban out a second support, being Misfortune.
Yeah, really interesting taking out the Misfortune. Now we're really into the second tier of supports. You know, Karma is going to come out probably at this stage. Maybe something shoving like a Nami that we've seen a little bit overseas. I like the Cassiopeia ban from Sharp. I mean, that's the coach of the Direwolves right now. Historically has been one of the few champions that can go toe-to-toe with Rise in machine gun damage. Rise does so much. Cassiopeia, if he does land the ultimate, is able to lock that down and get enough done. And also get rid of the Taliyah, which is that semi-global presence that I was talking about. All of a sudden, unless you go Twisted Fate, there really is nothing can match that part of Rise's kit.
On top of that, Swift was one of the first players to pick up Taliyah last year when she was introduced.
He's a good Taliyah player, yeah.
And he definitely is a great Taliyah player. And like you mentioned, Spawn, immediately Chiefs, they're going to lock in Karma as their 4th pick.
Yeah, and one more time, this is a really nice pick because it gives the shove, it gives pseudo-tankiness. There's just so many things. And the fact that all of the OP supports are now off the board and Karma's been left alone leaves them in a little bit of a bind. Do they go a Braum for a little bit of engage? This is really hard now for the Direwolves. And their new support, Destiny. He very good mechanically. Played AD carry for Avant at a stage, played support for Avant. TK is interesting, but really they're going to struggle with the push in the early laning phase and lose a lot of priority in that lane.
And certainly will. We have seen a lot of Tahm Kench being played internationally since the start of the 2017 season. We are going to see Ashe being picked up by King here as well.
Yeah, and that's a premeditated like 2 pick, because if you leave it at your solo pick to grab the Ashe first, all of a sudden they take away Tahm Kench. If they pick up Tahm Kench, you know, you can do some funny things, ban away the Ashe, so I like that they left it till last. Ooh, Syndra getting through. I mean, with so many mid lane bans, that's a pretty strong champion to leave up on the board.
That'll be picked up by Swiffer heading into Fantic's Rise in the mid lane. But already we can see, like you mentioned, the adaptation of this 10-ban pick and ban phase and the double pick phase coming out from both the Chiefs as well as Direwolves. And it seems like both of them have gotten pretty decent team comps here, Spawn.
Yeah, they certainly have. I mean, the Chiefs will be a little bit frustrated that they couldn't get Ejim on a very big lane bully to, you know, be able to poke out something like a Zyra, something like the Misfortune. However, he is a good supportive support at the same time. At the same time, Direwolves, they look at their composition, they must be so happy. They have Initiation out of their AD carry. They have globals everywhere built into their kits. For a team that likes to play the map, likes to split up and never team fight, that's pretty much ideal.
Especially when you look at their first 3 picks, Poppy, Rek'Sai, and Rise. This is a team that historically plays towards the top side of the map. They're going to be really happy with these power picks.
Yeah, they certainly are. And I mean, when you are able to grab all of those picks without having to, you know, invest anything for it, really. I mean, they gave away an okay comp, but it looked like they got exactly what they wanted.
It certainly does look like that. Chiefs, they pretty much have got what they'd like as well. You know, maybe not the support they want for Ejim, but still great picks for them on the bread side of Summoner's Rift. For now, though, before we get onto Summoner's Rift, we're going to go over to Hingers, who is going to be talking to one of the coaches.
All right, I'm here now with the coach of the Direwolves. So let me ask about this new 10-ban system. Did you guys feel like it was a bit of a struggle to draft today?
I think we prepared pretty well. I don't think we had any issues about draft. I think we're pretty confident, and each of the people on the team have very diverse champion pools, so it wasn't really a worry for us.
And do you feel like you got everything you wanted out of the draft then?
I think we outdrafted 100%.
Yeah, so confident going into the match.
100%. Yeah.
All right, well that's all we have time for here. Let's throw back to the casters. Direwolves feeling very confident.
And we're about to get into that game really shortly there. We just heard from Sharp. He is really confident with that pick ban phase, and I don't blame him.
Why would you not be? I mean, as I said, it looked like they gave everything they wanted. got everything they wanted without giving away anything they didn't want to. So, you know, they got rid of the Talia. That would have matched the Globals. There's just so many things that they were able to trap the Chiefs on. And I feel like they got initiation out of a surprising place. I mean, normally you don't see King running around on utility all that much. But if he's going to be on this team, he has to learn how to play towards the top side of the map. Because historically, Sybil's just bounce between chippies, bounce between Fantix. And they really do play that 1-3-1. So it's a good comp. The one thing it might lack is wave clear when they do go into a 1-3-1, and they need to make sure they don't get dove. Because if any of them eat unwanted CCs, the Chiefs are really relentless on how quickly they will dive, especially with Lee Sin and Syndra.
It certainly will be, and a fantastic pick up from King as well as Destiny. The Ashe and the Tahm Kench, both of them have great global presence to help them play towards their top side of the map, where Direwolves are historically Direwolves are historically known to do. For now, though, still waiting to see where the two junglers are going to start on Summoner's Rift. Right now, it looks like Spooks is going to be starting on his blue buff. We're going to be seeing Sybil start on the... Sybil's going to be starting on the blue buff as well, getting a little bit of a leash from Chippies on the top side. And we saw Swiffer pick up 2 of the Raptors.
2 Raptors. I mean, Lee Sin doesn't clear Raptors in his first time round because it really is a painful camp for him to go past. So we'll see whether that is something that gives him the EXP lead, maybe hits level 2 on wave 1 the way you want to. But I like the fact that Spooks is willing to start bottom side of the map. This will really confuse the Direwolves lineup. Generally, Lee Sin is the top side of the map and hands off blue buff first time around. Instead, Spooks going for a little bit of power farming right now and wants to be able to continue to, you know, grind through that. If he gets to level 6 first, he can make a big impact on this game.
You can see Fantix is able to match Swiffer's early level 2 advantage there by pushing a little bit harder to start the game off.
And I mean, that's why we like Ryze right now. He has great pushing in the laning phase, huge burst damage. I mean, doesn't deal with tanks great late game, but if he ever gets onto your squishies, really is left, right, good night, as Rusty likes to say. That's exactly how Fantix wants to be able to play. Isolate the side lane and be able to pick up some nice early kills.
Meanwhile, just checking in with the jungler, Spooks has hit level 3, yet to take his red buff, but is making his way towards the mid lane. Fantix is going to hit level 3
and he's
himself.
on the wrong side of the map. I mean, not expected to be there.
Stun comes out. Fantix taking a lot of damage. He tries to clear out the wave. Has to flash. The Q is going to come out from Spooks, but goes in the wrong direction. Fantix will live to fight another day.
And that's big because Fantix turned around, got the shield. This is why we like Ryze in the meta because, you know, able to pick up that shield, couple of extra 100 health, then get back out through the creep wave. Spooks' Q, maybe a little bit of that nerves because that was high, wide, and not very handsome right then, Fish. But, you know, still good to burn a summoner spell early and live to tell the tale.
Certainly, as Fantix did not have to use his exhaust there, so still has 1 defensive summoner spell remaining.
Which is really important because you expect Spooks to be coming back when that level 6 is hit by the Syndra. Bottom lane, they just want to shove this one out. A little bit indecisive out of the Chiefs there. They're down in CS in most lanes apart from mid. Really starting to struggle.
And this is something we see a lot internationally against the Tahm Kench. Only he will be pushed underneath his turret quite heavily.
But you want it to hit level 2. You don't want it to hit level 3 because you can see right now he has a grey health, he has the tongue lash, and he has the consume. So he's actually in a good position where if he flashes onto maybe the support or the AD carry, he can guarantee summoner spells because he does a lot of burst damage at this stage of the game. Because the way we changed his passive to apply at all stages, not just at level 6. And really is a lane that the Chiefs can't be too comfortable in. They're still up, they still have poke advantage, but this lane can turn on its head in an instant.
And besides the gank in the mid lane, it's just been relatively quiet between these two teams. King,
really nice count.
Take quite a bit of damage there. Raze pushing out quite nicely for the Chiefs. Moving back into the mid lane, Swiffer and Fantix just going toe-to-toe against each other for now, fighting the minions more than they are each other.
And even though Swiffer got the early gank, he didn't have the 900 gold to go for the lost chapters, so he's just gone for a second D ring. Still not bad. I mean, he's going to be able to survive a little bit of Ryze's burst that comes out because of it. But the ideal back timing for Syndra is to be able to pick that up. Now the gank coming in.
Fantix going to put the exhaust down towards Swiffer. This time Spooks is going to hit the Sonic Wave, resonating strike, and it will be first blood picked up by Swiffer.
And that's huge because Sybil was there waiting for the counter gank, but there were so many minions, he didn't want to go into fight at the same time because it would have been a double kill. The return gank comes out, and as we said, as soon as you give up flash against the Chiefs in the mid lane, you expect Spooks to be there.
You can already see Chiefs using their bottom lane to try and move towards the mid lane as well, making sure they can help their team out if they need to.
Sybil trying to guarantee a freeze in the mid lane for the Ryze. However, Swiffer harasses him out as well. Means that he's going to be able to shove this into the turret. And the first meaningful objective. I mean, he's going to go back now. He's got the first blood gold. He must have the 900 gold for that lost chapters. And
That's when the lane gets hard. As we take another look at the replay, stun hits, exhausts the wrong member, in my opinion, because the burst combo would already come out of Spooks, and Swiffer, and Spooks is able to put in so much work.
And there is that lost chapter being picked up by Swiffer as he heads back towards the mid lane. Fantic still just sitting on his Tear of the Goddess as well as the boots that he just picked up. Going to be a little bit of a struggle in the mid lane for him for now. No summoners available for that rise either. Swiffer yet to burn his Ghost or his Flash in that mid lane.
And because of all the pressure around mid, they're kind of guaranteed where Sybil's going to be. Because if Spooks is concentrating mid this hard, and it's a rise that you need to get ahead for the 1-3-1, you know that Sybil's going to try and match. But at this stage of the game, especially with summoner spells being burnt out of Fantix, there's no way they can really 2v2. So that's just good awareness out of the Chiefs to keep going back home. I mean, Spook Swiffer, it's a recipe as old as time. We know what's coming, but they have executed on it this time around incredibly well.
You certainly have, and yet to see Sybil have any impact on this game so far. Has spent most of his time just holding the mid lane for Fantix.
We've got first meaningful shops coming through right now, Fish, so let's check in on that. I mean, Berserker's Greaves on Ash, that's a weird first item. That's 1,100 gold. Maybe didn't have enough for the BF. Goes back a second time and picks up a longsword, so presumably going towards an Essence Reaver. You're more an AD carry player than I am. But the Dirk is a really interesting one, because that means we're going to see a Ghost Blade first item, presumably into the IE. Jhin likes to still be able to bully the lane.
We've seen a lot of interesting Jhin builds coming out.
We've seen some downright banned ones as well. I mean, IE double Zeal was seen the other day, and I was just like, that's a very old, poor build.
We've seen double BF swords as well. Some really interesting things being picked up by Jhin. We'll have to see what Raze decides to pick up as his first item. Berserker Greaves is going to give King a little bit more utility for his team. Going to be able to run fast, stay away from the tanks, slow down a lot of people on the side of the Chiefs.
And I wonder if that's what it is. You know, he thinks that the pressure's going to start coming into the bottom lane. I mean, Teleport was burnt by Chippies, but not by Swiper, which means that, you know, there is the opportunity to heavily dive this lane. You see the ward just around the corner. Something that the Chiefs like to execute on. And it is a play that we see a lot internationally.
Yep. Spook's going to be able to eat a couple of fruit there, heal himself back up, takes down one of the vision wards.
Definitely, and you can see right now that Chiefs have kind of left top side of the map. Like, Swiper's got no attention so far, he's just farming peacefully towards the Direwolves, and they are very heavily focusing bottom side of the map. You see the water around the corner, they're looking for a teleport. The whole river area has been blacked out, there's absolutely no vision at the moment. This is how Chiefs like to play. They like to play bottom lane focus. Swiper's a great carry player, but we very rarely see it just because of this play style. And at the same time, Direwolves, they're having to alter a little bit. I feel like they would have liked Chippies to be further ahead.
We can see constantly Raze and Ejim pushing out that bottom lane, moving in towards the river to make sure that the Direwolves are constantly guessing where they're going to go.
A little bit of an invade here, but Swiffer's by himself. He needs to be careful.
Sybil's still going to be able to pick up his red buff. Miss smites by 1 hit point. Still be able to pick that one up.
That's a tilter.
Now Fancy's getting a lot of damage down towards Swiffer. Has to pop his ultimate. We'll get crowd control out of it, and Swiffer throws down the ultimate for Spooks to pick up the second kill of the game.
And one more time, Swiper's right there. So even if he had have run up, there was no way he could get out. And the Chiefs just continue to control this river. Spooks is ducking out of Fog of War. They don't know whether they're going for a teleport play bottom. They don't know whether they're going to keep camping mid. And Spooks is out jungling the pants off Sybil at the moment.
It certainly is. The Lee Sin pickup for the Chiefs has been doing wonders for them at the moment. We take a look at that one more time.
And this is Fantix going aggressive without having vision on the Chiefs jungle because of how dark that river is. But the rule is if it's implied pressure, you just don't go for the play. As I said, Swiper was even cheating down. So best case scenario, that port goes off. You're just in the waiting arms of a Maokai and they kill you anyway.
Speaking of Maokai, Swiper's been left to his own device up in the top lane, sitting on his island, just happily farming up.
Maybe the first adaptation out of Sybil, given the fact that Shermfire has been helping mentor him a little bit. Shermfire's a heavy carry jungler. I mean, I haven't seen him play live and in person in a very long time, but around 2014, you know, when Vi just came out, he was destroying teams on that champion. So the fact that Tiamat's been picked up, the fact that there's like 26 CS already on Sybil because he's just hard farming, really, to me, is more of a Shermfire trait than a Sybil trait. Sybil was a big Elise player, action in the bottom.
Agent's going to get locked down here. Arrow comes out from King. Destiny will eat him up. Spooks is coming down. But Sybil's here too. Teleport's being thrown down. Agent will be the first one to fall and actually will be cancelled there by Swiper. Direwolves make their first play of the game.
Yeah, and over-aggression, I mean, right then the Chiefs bite off a little bit more than they can chew. As I said, Destiny at this stage of the game actually does a lot of damage, and now he's flash forward.
Yep, flash forward, forces Raze to flash away. Did not want to be eaten up by the time catch.
Great trade. I mean, Destiny pulling his team back from the brink. They're able to make up that 1,000 gold that had been picked up through the Chiefs' solo lane. And all of a sudden, that CS advantage for Sybil and that heavy power farming style is coming out. Take another look at this in the bottom lane. I mean, Ejim set up for it. You could tell he wanted it. They cancel the back. He misses the empowered Q, although now Swiffer in some trouble. Had to burn one summon a spell already.
He's going to be jumped on exhaust, goes down. Fantix will pick up the kill, but Spooks takes down Sybil. He's going to use the port to go a minuscule distance away. And Spooks still trying to chase him down, but will miss the second proc of that Sonic Wave resonating
I mean, it's
strike.
only rank 1 fish. Doesn't go far at the start of the game. However, that is a good one for one trade because Fantix picks it up, can guarantee some farm, and the kill went over on Spooks. And as I said, eventually Lee Sin's fallen off. I mean, this isn't solo queue. We're not going to see a hard carry Lee Sin game. So they need to start getting other members farm because this game looked like it was going to be all Chiefs, but the Direwolves have bitten back really hard.
We certainly have, and the gold is dead even between the Direwolves and the Chiefs here, despite it being a 2-3 scoreline. No turrets yet to be taken down so far.
Gold does get a little bit deceiving when it comes to junglers, however, because they're only going to be so effective. I mean, they're both going to be tanks at the end of the day. Maybe Sybil gets there a little bit early, but the utility that comes out of Lee Sin still can't be undervalued. So I do agree, they've done a great job to keep it this close, but when it is the junglers carrying the gold on the side of Direwolves versus the mid laner on the Chiefs, still is a little bit skewed.
It certainly is. Fantix still showing that he can still go toe-to-toe against Swiffer in lane.
And there you go, you see it on your screen right now. I mean, actually, it's not even there. It's the AD carry and support that really have the advantage right now, whereas mid lane, it's 800 gold for Swiffer, which at this stage of the game, when you only have 5,000 gold, that's a big percentage of the gold. I mean, he's got 20% more gold than the other AD carry.
That's a full component above his counterpart. King going to take a little bit of damage from Ejim as well as Raze here. Arrow's going to come out. Ejim takes a bit of
Sybil's
damage.
there as well. Ejim's in trouble.
Looking for it. The exhaust will come down. Ejim does get locked down, and Sybil will pick up another kill for himself.
And you have to ask, is that King baiting? I mean, that's a great setup there. He just eats the damage, but was never in risk of dying because of the TK. Sybil just pops over the wall, able to pick up another kill. All of a sudden, this Rek'Sai is really rolling, starting to get himself back in the game.
Ejim has been taken down twice in this bottom lane.
Yeah, he's playing a little bit silly aggressive. When you're playing ranged against melee, the idea is you build a CS advantage, not you build a kill advantage, especially with someone like Karma. So at the same time, you really have to question what's going on there. Teleport coming in out of the Chief, see whether it's matched.
They want to try and contest for this. Teleport is going to
be a
come down
5v4.
from Poppy. Fantix is getting into this as well. Swiper taking quite a bit of damage. Direwolves want this fight. Maokai will go in. Destiny is going to try and get away from this. He's not going to take it down. Instead, it's Swiffer that falls to Sybil. Spooks is the one that's in trouble next. He'll get taken out by Fantix as King's going to flash aggressively forward. The double kill comes out for Rise. Swiper's trying to run away, but everyone from the Direwolves is collapsing. The Wolfpack is here, and they've taken down 4 members of the Chiefs.
And that was just such a bad call out of the Chiefs. So we're fighting a 5v4. It's only a Mountain Drake. And the decisiveness out of the Direwolves to call, yep, we're going to be able to get in there. Really impressive play. They get themselves their first meaningful advantage, and they're also going to pick up the Dragon.
They certainly are, and that gives them a 3,000 gold lead almost ahead of the Chiefs. I can't do math. 2,000 gold lead ahead of the Chiefs at the moment.
1,400. So that's all right. We'll get closer and closer as we start doing the math. But yeah, just such a swing because all of a sudden now Fantix, who was shut down in the laning phase, negative 20 CS, picked up 2 kills in that fight. Let's take another look at it. So Swiffer, a little bit too close. Swiper gets chunked out at the start of this fight. As I said, Rise at the early game does so much damage. And then firing an ultimate into Destiny and not killing him is just a poor move by Swiffer. Sybil gets saved over the wall by a mistimed kick. And from there, it's just King and Fantix cleaning up the back end of the team fight. Really well executed.
And you see as well King using his aggressive playstyle, flashing forward, not to pick up kills, but to save his teammates, really bringing utility into the team when it's previously known to be a hard carry, AD carry.
Yeah, it certainly is, and this is what we're interested in seeing. Can the Chiefs, can the Direwolves, make that change in playstyle? Can they play utility on one member? And now Chippy's found Spooks, but everyone else is here as well.
Going to take quite a bit of damage. The Curtain Call is going to come out. Chippy's getting taken down really low. One final auto attack from Swiffer. It's all it takes. The Chiefs get a pick in the top lane.
And this is where the Chiefs say they struggle with macro play, because you see the mechanics came out in the Dragon fight, and then all of a sudden, the rotation came out of the Chiefs. They've called top lane as a target, and instead of just trading, you know, getting some power in the mid priority, they try and match it. They lose out on the first turret blood, and they also lose out on a kill, which means we're going to equalize the gold temporarily. As this turret falls down, it will go back up to about 800, but it's a little bit of an unnecessary play by the Direwolves to give away the extra kill. The turret was going down. It's just that Chippy shouldn't have gone down with it.
It's an unfortunate play coming out from them. Chiefs do bring the gold lead back slightly closer towards what the Direwolves were able to pick up after the Dragon team fight they got earlier. King still down in this bottom lane, just farming up against Swiper, who's going to head back to base.
And now where does the next rotation come? Because the Chiefs have put their 80 carry and support in the mid lane. But against a Ryze, that's kind of what you want. The earlier Ryze can get unlocked to go to a side lane, the happier the guy is. So I don't know whether that's really where the Chiefs want to leave it at this point. Although with Swiffer heading down into the bottom lane, maybe it is. Maybe they can just set up the 1-3-1 here and continue to beat away at the Chiefs' turrets.
You can certainly try. Like you mentioned, Raze and Ejim still in this mid lane, just farming up, making sure they can protect their mid lane outer turret.
And it's kind of the perfect storm for it, because if they can match Ryze against Maokai briefly, Maokai hasn't built up all that much magic resist, just has a Merc Tread. So Ryze is going to be able to burst through a lot of that, continually pressure Swiper. And the great thing about Poppy is she pretty much is undiveable. So even if they shove into the Poppy, it's going to be really hard to execute on a dive. So Chippy should be okay. And he's also gone with a lot of magic resist. So you would expect that he's going to be matched up against Swiffer if they can get their ideal lanes. However, it doesn't look like they're going for it. This might be a little bit of a, you know, just a little bit of poor setup. I think there's more kill threat on the other side. Spooks has been hit.
He's been locked down. They're going for a fight
DK's
here.
in
Time
behind.
Catcher's coming in. Destiny, but it's going to be King that gets jumped on by Spooks. He has to flash out of here. Jumps to his teammate. Egypt's down the one that gets locked down. He has to try and flash away. The Direwolves are still chasing, but it's now Chiefs.
Re-engage.
They want to try and fight back. Curtain Call comes out, misses a lot of members. Destiny incredibly low. Will get locked down. Spooks goes back in, gets back to safety. Now Big Swips is in amongst it. Fantix has to flash over the wall.
Raze, you can't go too close.
Swiffer's trying to wrap around. Fantix has to be really careful. There goes the Dark Matter. Fantix will fall. Raze gets the shutdown. Swivel's trying to run for his life, but it's Raze now that flashes aggressively forward. The Rek'Sai has to try and get the heck out of there. The rest of the Chiefs still looking to try and chase him down, but he's going to pop his ultimate and he will get to safety.
Yeah, so he gets to safety, and they've lost a little priority in top lane. Can they get the turret off it? Because it's a good team fight out of the Chiefs to turn around the re-engage. However, push is on in the top out of Chippies.
King's going to be able to run away from Big Swoops eventually. Pops the fruit and he's able to heal himself back up. Poppy still pushing on the top side of the map. Chiefs looking to try and get some damage on the mid lane outer turret. Tom Kench as well as Ash will slowly make their way towards it to see if they can get any defense down.
This is a really important push. I mean, if the Chiefs are able to pick up 2 turrets, that would be a huge boon. Right now, it looks like it's going to be a 1-for-1 trade, so not the end of the world for Direwolves. I mean, the gold will equalize after this turret falls down. 500 only, and I feel like when it comes to map positioning, the Chiefs are reading the Direwolves like a book. If it ever comes to outplay, the Direwolves are setting up so cleanly. This all starts because they think Spooks has been caught out, and maybe they go a little bit too deep because King can't follow up here because of all the damage that comes out. And then as soon as Raze gets to safety and can guarantee his ultimate, there's really no way you can run away. Right now, they have to turn around and fight because Raze is just able to continually slow. Destiny gets caught up. And that means that, you know, Fantix overextends, get caught, and they're on the wrong side of the map. This is all just because they didn't hard commit, and Raze was able to guarantee the re-initiate. This is why we like the utility out of Jhin, maybe more than something like an Ashe.
You can see a lot of the members from both teams have been able to go back to base after those couple of plays, pick up a few items from themselves. Swiffer getting a very early Void Staff, making sure he has magic penetration for the Poppy,
Trust
for
me,
the Rek'Sai.
in the League of Tanks, when there's a Tom Kench, a Rek'Sai, and a Poppy running around, as well as what looks to be an Abyssal Scepter Merc Treads Rise running at you. You want to Void Staff as early as possible, Fish. I'm surprised he waited to the second item. No, I'm not. But yeah, it certainly is something that you look for Swiffer to have as early as possible in the game.
See Raze, after picking up his Yeoman's Ghostblade, looking to pick up an Infinity Edge as his second item.
Yeah, it certainly is right now, and that will guarantee him a nice power spike. You see,
Essence Reaver into presumably Hurricane coming out right now. Maybe Phantom Dancer if King feels like he's in real danger.
So we do have the Dragon respawning as well. It's just a Cloud Dragon. We'll have to see if either team decides to go for a fight on it. Spookstone trying to lock down Destiny. He's going to get stunned up. Pops the Grey Health. Going to take a full ultimate to the face. Swift will pick up the first kill.
Swiper's in.
Top laners are teleporting down. Swiper trying to get into the back lines. Chippies will be able to knock the Karma away. Swiper taking a ton of damage, but still taking everything up. Sibyl's going to get back to safety. Spooks is back in the action. Chippies now in trouble. As the Dakota Core gets popped. First bullet's not going to connect. Neither will the second. And the Direwolves will just lose their support.
He was fishing for Sybil. He didn't want to fire them into Fantix or King. Of course, it's an execute. That is a 1-for-nothing, potentially a Dragon going to go over. However, once again, very close team fight. Actually saved by a clutch twisted advance out of Swiper, who was able to dodge out of some damage that would have killed him and got another auto attack to guarantee that sap magic. So little things in this game right now. A big error out of Ejim, however, that I do want to point out was the fact that Chippy's got exhausted in that team fight. I mean, I know people say that Poppy does a lot of damage, but she really doesn't do that much sustained damage in a team fight. I feel like I'd want to exhaust the Ryze or exhaust the Ashe. Maybe not the Poppy in these team fights.
And still Chiefs were the ones that were able to get the single pick there off the back of
Ooh,
Spook's
King's in
kickback.
trouble.
Takes a lot of damage there from Swiper.
Can just be eaten, but you don't want to have to give it to the chance of Destiny, who's playing his first game back in pro play. Sybil maybe caught out a little bit here. Ejim looping around.
Sybil will be able to pick up the red buff, trying to get onto the explosive plant, but good move from Ejim. Knocks him up as soon as he steps on top of it.
He's very tanky and he has support coming in now.
There's Destiny, able to eat up the Rek'Sai. Will get him back to safety, so successful invade coming out from Sybil.
But, you know, that does send a message. If you come into my jungle, I am going to force you back out. Sybil's hard farm. I mean, he is incredibly tanky at this stage of the game. And after what was a pretty poor start, has bounced back terrifically. However, Spooks and Ejim still showing they have that synergy to be able to communicate and kick people out of their jungle.
And now both Direwolves and Chiefs just looking to try and farm up whatever they possibly can on the map. 5 members of the Chiefs grouped up in the mid lane. We have King on the top side of the map, just trying to push on his own. Destiny going to take a little bit of damage from Spooks, hits the explosive plant, gets back to safety, but Chiefs take down another turret from themselves.
Yeah, they certainly do it. You can see that they've got King in the side lane at the moment. They obviously want him to get towards the last Whisper as soon as possible to start dealing with the Chiefs tanks. But when we think of 1-3-1, we typically think of Fantix being the one in the strong side of the map, pushing, Chippy's weak side, and then AD carry historically has been with the team, which is why I used to sing the praise of Raze a lot when he was on the Direwolves, because he played that role with very limited resources incredibly well.
Well, Direwolves now looking to try and get the counterplay here, looking to get damage on the mid lane out of turret. That one should fall. Only 3 members of the Chiefs here to try and defend it. Arrow will whiff coming out from King, so no engage coming out from the Direwolves. Sybil now taking a bit of damage. Poppy will stop the knockup coming in from Spooks. Sybil now trying to run away, gonna get stunned up by the Swiffer in the mid lane. He gets the first kill.
Ooh,
King gets kicked
kick
back, but King will be able to flash back to safety. Fantix, he's been exhausted. Not gonna be able to deal enough damage on the Ryze here. But look at the burst that comes out as soon as he gets into position. Gets the shutdown on towards Syndra. Trying to get on towards Raze. Spooks tries to get in amongst the action. Destiny will be able to eat up the Maokai. King still in this fight, trying to do what he can. Gets the damage on towards Swiper. Direwolf still pushing forward. Fantix will flash onto Spooks. He's gonna get taken down for the double kill. And the Direwolves again pick up 4 kills against the Chiefs.
And one more time, they just burn so much onto the tanks. That's a Syndra ultimate. Pretty much a kick as well, trying to get rid of the 2 tankiest members, and they're just not able to clean up the team fight a lot. Direwolves run away with it. They're going to have access to the Baron because of Rek'Sai, and that's going to be the first Baron of the game.
Let's see if they're going to be able to take this one down fast enough. It seems like it's definitely going to be the case here. Direwolves, they get 4 kills against the Chiefs, move straight towards the Baron. They're going to be able to pick up the big purple worm. And the Chiefs now have to do something to stop the Wolfpack.
Yeah, they certainly do. I mean, that's a huge gold swing. One more time, they go into Sybil, they go into Chippies. And Fantix is kind of on the right-hand side of this team fight. Just watch him. I mean, it looks like the Chiefs are winning, but he's continually putting spell rotations in. They isolate Swiffer, and then as soon as this exhaust expires, huge burst damage coming out, able to pick up both members, and then no one can really kill him. Good use of the ultimate. Gets on top of Raze, who's put himself in a bad situation. Doesn't have access to Fantix anymore. They keep kind of chasing after Fantix as opposed to just hiding backwards and getting on better terrain. And that's just a, you know, little error like that. Not reading the terrain properly. Giving Ryze access to that backline.
that cost them the Baron, and now a huge push, huge momentum swing coming in for the Direwolves.
And I love the way King's been playing this game as well. That entire fight, he literally did next to nothing for the first 20 seconds or so, and then stepped in when he knew the damage threats were taken out by the rest of his team. Direwolves are playing really well at the moment, and they're looking to press their advantage. They've taken down the bottom lane inner turret. Chippy's now looking to try and get some damage on the top lane inner as well.
Well, it's kind of coming in waves, honestly, Fish. I mean, it looks like they're playing well, and then they give up a little bit of a team fight. They get caught out on picks. However, talking of picks,
Trying to get one on towards Spooks here, but it's King that has to get eaten up because he's going to take a lot of damage. Redemption comes out, but Raids comes to bullet, is able to take down King.
and one more time, you say they're playing well, but don't overextend. Go into your 1-3-1. Rise ult is available, and there is no one that can match Fantix right now. He's got 6 kills. Instead, they group up in the mid lane. They all get stunned. Over-aggression out of the Direwolves, and this is what we were worried about. Can they mechanically stand up to the Chiefs? Yes, probably they surpass them. Individually, these are 5 of the best players in Oceania. However, just a couple of little mistakes when it comes to decision-making. Chippies would have had that top lane turret if he wasn't called away.
That does give Chiefs a bit of breathing room here. Now they're able to get the pick on towards King. Direwolves don't want to go for a 4-on-5. They still have a slight gold lead of about 3,000 gold.
Ooh.
The Baron buff is ticking away.
Let's talk about AD carries for a second, because both AD carries, as Razor's caught out,
He's going to have
probably
to try
dying.
and pop his Yomus to run away. Fantix going to use his ultimate raise, trying to get the heck out of there, but it's not going to happen. Direwolves get a pick.
Globals. I mean, we talked about this in Champions League. That's a great read. Able to pick up the young AD carry of the Chiefs, who had no business being there. So really nicely done from the Direwolves. But both AD carries have gone for builds without Last Whisper third items. Razor's just picked his up now because he can't, after shooting the Rek'Sai, he was like, I do no damage. However, interestingly enough, King's followed suit. King, see whether he's able to deal with the Maokai, deal with the Lee Sin, who's going to be diving on him pretty repetitively.
And he's gone for the Essence Reaver into the Hurricane here. Next item looks to be an Infinity Edge, so going for a lot of crit.
And I like the build, don't get me wrong. However, I just think that at this stage of the game, to guarantee your damage, you probably go to something like a Last Whisper. And then the utility of the Essence Reaver Hurricane is still going to be there. Ooh, you can see that Swiffer now takes damage.
Spooks is looking to try and see if he can get an engage going on towards the Direwolves. Hops over to a ward. Try to get the jump on towards the Rise as well. Meanwhile, Sybil, he's moved towards the top side of the map, helping out Chippies, and they take down the top lane in a turret.
And great read out of Sybil. I mean, he has the global available. Didn't really have a tunnel to go to, but there's always that implied pressure that there's going to be one in the blue side jungle. And he's able to secure the turret now, steals himself away another red buff. And the Direwolves starting to become a little bit suffocating for the Chiefs. It's up to a 6,000 gold lead.
Destiny going to be eating up King nice and early there, making sure he can't get caught
Teleport
out as
coming
well.
in. Both teleports, actually.
Sybil sitting on top of Swiper, gets the knockoff. Swiper tries to flash, but King gets back to safety before anything happens. Destiny's now the main target, but that's a lot of grey health. Now they're trying to lock him down. Egypt's going to get hit by the arrow. He's going to get taken down first. The rest of the Chiefs are chasing on towards the lonely Rise. Egypt is going to get the shutdown on towards Rise, but it's going to be 2 members of the Chiefs that do get taken down. They're still trying to chase on forward. Chippy's is at full health.
Going?
He gets splashed on. Poppy smacks him into the wall for the double kill for Destiny. King will get eaten up as well. Going to keep him alive. Direwolves still chasing on forward. Good stun from Swiffers, but Chippy's, he's not done yet. Still looking to fight.
And Swiffer is putting in so much work, but right now Raze just keeps going into areas that he shouldn't. Swiffer gets picked off, and that's 4 kills now for the Direwolf. And they are absolutely smashing the Chiefs in these open terrain fights because Razor's positioning just questionable time and time again.
Certainly is, and only Fantix getting taken down, who was holding up the entire back line of the Chiefs. Immediately, Direwolves move towards the Dragon Pit, looking to take that one down after taking the mid lane in a turret.
I mean, that's the right call. If they can trade Fantix, get rid of, like, what is it, a 7-4-4 Rise at this stage of the game, so much of the damage, and then reset up the fight correctly, that's a 1 fight for the Chiefs. But what happens? Raze splits away from the rest of the team, gets flash, wallbang from the Poffy. Let's actually just take another look at it. So this is a good opening. Swiper gets stunned up, but they're able to refocus. Off screen right now, the Rise is going for a flank, and they're going to be able to pick him up. Meanwhile, it's just a big tank off, nothing else really happening. So, you know, Swiper dies, Egypt dies, but at the same time, Fantix is taken out. However, when we look at the rest of the fight, Raze needs to run up right now. He runs down, gets indecisive, and then flash, wall slam, and look at the damage that's still coming out of Swiffer. Swiffer could have been able to clean up the back end of that team fight, but 2v4, there's absolutely nothing you can do.
He's even got his Luden's Echo now for Swiffer's going to be dealing a lot of burst damage as the Syndra.
And a member of the Direwolves that you have to point out is Chippies, because this guy's a hard carry, you know, known for his Aurelia, known for his Jax, plays a lot of Fiora in solo queue. However, being able to pick up a tank, this is kind of like the Huni story, right? Able to do that team thing and be able to get onto a different champion that we don't necessarily think of Chippies when we talk about Poppy, is really big for the Direwolves. And if they can play, you know, ooh.
Sybil going to try and go for a flank here, gets a good knock-up, but he's the one being locked down. The rest of Direwolves still trying to get in position. Spooks takes a bit of damage, so does Swiffer, but now they're the ones that are backing away. Swiper jumping on top of Chippies. He's trying to hold the tank at bay, make sure he can't engage.
I feel like they needed, like, right now, the Direwolves are way stronger than the Chiefs. They're 8,000 gold up. Stop forcing. Just, you know, go into your lanes, get them all pushing up simultaneously, set up for that Baron that's coming up in 15 seconds. Do the right thing. Instead, they're going for another forced play.
Let's see what they can do. Chippies gets a knock up on towards Swiper. Fantix pops his ultimate, trying to get even closer. Redemptions are being put down. Swiper will heal up massively. Chippies now the one that's the target. Big Redemption comes out. He's going to get eaten up by Destiny, making sure he stays alive.
Fantix is on the back line.
Taking a lot of damage. Fantix tries to get the ease up on towards Swiffer, but they do get back out of range of the stun. Narrowly missing coming out from the Syndra there as well.
Yeah, certainly does, but all of a sudden, the Direwolves force them back enough that the ward lane is guaranteed they can head towards that Baron. Instead, they're going on to Spook.
They found him. Explosive plant over the wall. Spook's trying to do what he can. Destiny will eat up his AD carry, and it will be Spooks that gets taken down, and Baron is live and on the table.
And that means now the Direwolves have access to the Baron without the jungler. That is such a good pick. They had the vision to be able to track him towards that top side of the map. You see Spook scratching his head a little bit. The Chiefs look a little bit flabbergasted because the Direwolves, slow to start, starting to get those rotational plays down pat.
And right off of the back of that Baron, they're 10,000 gold in the lead here, Spawn. Chiefs, their first game against the Direwolves here, not looking that fantastic.
Yeah, and you know, we were talking about how Chiefs were feeling confident going into this one. They said they didn't know whether the practice that the Direwolves got overseas was going to be enough. However, does it look like it right now? Sure does. Trinity Force going to be picked up for the Poppy after saying, you know, great tank play being there. Chippies wants some damage to go with the rest of his build. I would have honestly liked to have seen Iceborne Gauntlet. The only reason is I actually don't mind Trinity Force on Poppy, but against Jhin, someone that relies on movement speed, Iceborne Gauntlet really does wreck his day. If you're able to get one proc off through that buckler, means that he can't run out of this field as quickly as he would like. And saying that, still a fine choice.
Certainly is. And Chippies, we already talked about him. He is known to be that carry player, you know, giving him that little bit of carry
Gives
potential.
him a split push out. I mean, that's what it does right now. See Frozen Heart going to be picked up from the Maokai.
Chippies trying to stop him from picking up red buff.
He wanted that so bad.
Raze will still pick it up. Ultimate being used by the Poppy. That's on a short cooldown. We'll come back up shortly.
And without a pick from Swiffer, you know, blowing up, maybe a rise.
They're trying to look to see if they lock down Fantix. Ultimate is going to come out. Destiny's going to get amongst it as well. Fantix still chasing on forward. Teleports are coming through as well as the Redemption to get them back up to close to full health. Now sieging the bottom lane inhibitor turret. They're trying to look in for this one. Turret at half health. The flash kick comes in. Fantix going to get jumped up by Swiper, but Destiny eats him up. The double takes from the Direwolves are in the backline, getting a lot of damage now. King trying to kite back. Maokai now soaking up a lot of damage, but it's just a wet little fight to start things off, but it will be Swiper that falls. Spook's going to be next. It's a double kill for the Rise, and they're chasing on towards the back line. Flashes coming out everywhere. Swiffer's back in. King tries to run away, but does get taken down. Swiffer does pick up that first kill. Poppy still chasing down on top of them. Throws down the hammer, gets the auto attacks they need, and another 4 kills for the Direwolves.
And that might even be the game because right now 4 are dead and only 1 is still alive. It looks like Direwolves are going to pick up the first game of the series.
They're on top of the Nexus turrets here, Spawn. They might have blinking health bars, but there's only Aegium left to deal with them. The second turret is going to fall. They're onto the Nexus, and Direwolves, they will be the ones to pick up the first game of the 2017 split of the OPL.
And what an impressive victory. I mean, early game looks like they were being out-rotated a little bit. The pressure mid lane was suffocating, and they took that big breath that the Direwolves in the past haven't been able to do on land. Regrouped, got some fantastic team fights for themselves. And honestly, the Chiefs couldn't go them on an individual basis. Raze caught out, Swiffer caught out. This was just the story of if Chippies or Fantix ever got access to that back line, the mistakes were there out of the Chiefs.
And it looked like it was going to be a slow start as well for the Direwolves because the Chiefs were doing really well to kick the game off, shutting down Fantix, making sure the Spooks was always in his lane, but they just couldn't capitalize on that.
Yeah, exactly right. And when you have a look at this, what do you expect out of the Direwolves? You expect big 1-3-1, you expect side lane focus, and you expect them to, you know, when they do fight, be very scrappy. However, what we saw was they were coordinated in the use of their globals. I mean, running a triple global comp, not easy to do. They're able to pull it off. And King on utility 80 carry was incredibly impressive. I mean, as you said, picking his windows, not overextending, able to really set up a lot of good fights for his team. So hats off to the young 80 carry. Over from Legacy, we were wondering whether he could fit into a more supportive role. Answer is yes.
He certainly did. He was still able to use that carry-like play style that he used to be really well known for and adapted it into this team. Direwolves looked fantastic in game number 1, but it is a best-of-3 series. For now, though, we're going to throw it back to the analyst desk.
Thank you, Vish. Thank you, Spawn. Well, turns out I was wrong, obviously. My bad, you guys. Well, Mendrix, Carbon, it's a win for the Direwolves that picked up. Turns out that Korean boot camp, it paid off, yeah?
Yeah, I mean, I thought they played really well. I actually think both teams played really well. That was a really good way to start off the season, I think. Absolute cracker of a game. A lot of big notable plays from a lot of different players.
Yeah.
A lot of big team fights coming through as well. I really did enjoy that whole situation there as it happened. And what I really like to point into account that the Direwolves, like you said, they had a really strong laning phase, and they were just able to capitalize on every single team fight that came their way.
Well, because we have with Carbon here on the desk, and you obviously play jungle for Legacy, I want to get your thoughts on the jungle, on Spooks' role in particular, because he kind of was doing well early on, and then kind of found himself out of position a little bit towards the end.
I think both junglers actually played quite well. The way that matchup works is that the onus is definitely on Lee Sin to make plays early. Like, Lee has to, because Rek'Sai's going to out-farm him and be more relevant in late-game team fights. So Lee really has to make things happen early, and he did do that, so I thought that was really well played by him. But I don't think Sybil was doing nothing, you know what I mean? Like, yeah, he was waiting in the wings a few times, but really he was power farming pretty fast. So I think... And you could see that late game, he was very relevant.
Well, let's bring out some stats now in terms of the jungle as we look at this graphic. It'll come up on the screen any second now. Here we go. So we're looking at Sybil versus Spooks. Now, Sybil's obviously been training a bit with Schoenfire. Do you see any difference in his play? Because he's known for playing these top carry champions, but obviously today playing more of a tank and poppy.
Well, Sybil's... usually very gank-heavy jungler. Like, he likes to gank a lot, and he doesn't like to farm so much. And maybe in the past, his pathing was not the strongest part of his play. But I would say that the Rek'Sai he just played was pretty good. Spooks also played well, but you could see there that the CS lead favoured Rek'Sai. And to be honest, that's purely the matchup, I think.
Yeah, Mendrix, thoughts on the game so far?
Yeah, absolutely. There. And one of the things I do want to point out specifically is the reason why Spooks was able to get some of those early kills is because Fantix was being a little bit aggressive as he was going in towards those fights, which allowed him to sort of make something happen, whereas Sybil's going around looking for it, but just didn't have those opportunities. So he did the right thing, continued to power farm, and became much more relevant in the late game. And
in terms of the team fights that you were talking about before, there was an early dragon fight I know you wanted to talk about, the 5v4 where the Chiefs kind of took a poor engage. You want to take a look at that now?
Yes.
Let's bring that up.
So as you can see here, that's at the moment, Swiper's a little bit early into the team fight here, and there is no Karma, so it's a 5v4 up against the Chiefs. Immediately, Swiper takes way too much damage. He's forced to get out, then he can't really be in the middle of those team fights. And then, because they've got that extra brute power, they're able to get the kills early. Karma comes into it a little bit too late, or as you can see, Ejim comes a little bit too late, and it just seems to be Direwolves just coming out with full force of numbers at the moment.
I think a little bit micro there.
Yeah.
I feel like, yes, it was 5v4, and that's probably not the best macro decision, but Syndra was very strong, and I felt like Chiefs thought that they had the power to one-shot somebody, but I mean, they burnt it on the Tarm, and he didn't even die, so they didn't get the dangerous game off it. I think if they maybe picked their targets a bit better, or maybe executed like a lead kick Syndra ult combo to instantly one-shot maybe someone who was a little bit more relevant, like maybe the Rise, who I didn't think had summoners because he'd burnt them in lane phase. But look, ultimately, you don't really want to be taking 5v4s. Yes, it's a mountain drag, but I mean, you're not going to lose over a mountain drag, whereas you might lose over getting aced.
Well, quickly, what do you want to see changed by the Chiefs in going into game 2 then? What do they need to kind of mix up?
I mean, that's a tough question, really, because, like I said, they were playing pretty well, and I felt like the game was definitely in their hands early. Maybe just, work on the positioning a bit. I don't know if it's first game nerves, but I swear when Poppy's in the game, it's like people get drawn to the walls like moth to a flame. You know what I mean? It's like the one rule against Poppy is don't stand next to the wall, and everybody stand next to the wall when you're playing Poppy. Because we saw Syndra get wall banged, we saw Raze get wall banged a number of times. So I think maybe bit of first game nerves, who knows?
Mendrix?
Absolutely, I definitely take that into account. And also target priority, as you mentioned before, a little bit of those micro in-game mechanics. I'd like to see them sort of make sure they pick their fights a bit better. I think there's actually another team fight that we have coming up where you can actually see them not really going for it too much. But it was one of those cases when Fantix had that triple kill, which was so big coming across, and they were sort of focusing out onto King in that situation. Didn't really get to pick him out because he flashed out immediately, and then they just let Fantix have free reign the entire time. He was just able to sit back, do what he wanted to do, and then he got a triple kill right afterwards because they were focusing on Poppy instead of really who was their target priority.
Yeah. All right, well, that is game 1. Direwolves picking up a win, proving me wrong. Let's take a break, and we're back with game 2 right after this.
Put the exhaust down towards Swiffer. This time Spooks is going to hit the Sonic Wave, resonating strike, and it will be first blood picked up by Swiffer. Maokai will go in. Destiny is going to try and get away from this. He's not going to go take it down. Instead, it's Swiffer that falls to Sybil. Spooks is the one that's in trouble next. He'll get taken out by Fantix as King's going to flash aggressively forward. The double kill comes out for Rise. Swiper's trying to run away, but everyone from the Direwolves is collapsing. The Wolfpack is here, and they've taken down 4 members of the Cheats. He's going to take a lot of damage. Redemption comes out, but Raids comes to Bullet, is able to take down King. On top of Swiper, gets the knock off. Swiper tries to flash, but King gets back to safety before anything happens. Destiny's now the main target, but that's a lot of grey health. Now they're trying to lock him down. Egypt's going to get hit by the arrow. He's going to get taken down first. The rest of the Chiefs are chasing on towards the lonely Rise. Egypt is going to get the shutdown on towards Rise, but it's going to be 2 members of the Chiefs that do get taken down. They're still trying to chase on full. Will be swiping at falls. Spook's going to be next. It's a double kill for the Rise, and they're chasing on towards the back line. Flashes coming out everywhere. Swiffer's back in. King tries to run away, but does get taken down. Swiffer does pick up that first kill.